Hello, welcome to this interview with the very first undergraduate class of IIT Madras, the class of 1964. I'm Tharun, one of the very first batch of students of my degree program. We started last year, the 2-year MA. And
Hi, I'm Aishani. I'm a third year BTech undergrad student in mechanical engineering. So I'm very excited to meet the people here who were the first batch of our institute. They started a whole legacy. They're not really alumni, they're the first fall breakers. They're the founders of the institute as we have it today. So please let us welcome our three guests today. We have Professor Radhakrishnan. So could you just kindly introduce your sense of it, all three of you?
Say, I am Radhakrishnan. I joined IIT Madras in 1960 and I liked IIT so much that I stayed back. I never went out of IIT. I retired from IIT 2008 after 48 years after my joining IIT Madras. So I was a professor and head of the Department of Applied Mechanics and my specialization was in the area of biomedical engineering. I am very happy to note that IIT Madras has gone leaps and bounds in the last few years. And it is standing number one in the country for the last 8th and 9th year in succession. This is a very proud achievement for all of the pioneering brads of 1968, 59, 60, 61. And we have had a great time with very good faculty who enabled us to learn many things. And our drawing and workshop were very tedious at that point of time. But now the students are, I think, little bit more lucky in that they don't have that kind of a strenuous life. So I wish all the future engineers coming out of IIT Madras to go forward and with the stamp of IIT Madras bring laurel to the country. Thank you.
Okay, can I start now? Okay, now here's the story. I got two stories. Story number one is, how did I get in? I was surprised that I got in. There were no written examination, nothing. You just submitted your last, I did my senior Cambridge. I was at a school called the Lawrence School Sinar up in near Simla. And we had a very strict interview here taken by the Germans. And so half an hour interview, and on the basis of that interview, we got in. So now, I had also got into St. Stephen's in Delhi. So my parents were very surprised and Randhawa, another chap, he also got in. So we were in Pune and they said, you better get into the train and run to Madras because they may cancel your booking. So Surjit Singh Randhawa, now a big shot out in Chicago, and myself were, I believe, the first two who stepped foot on this place. Amazing, isn't it? Now listen. So that time this place didn't exist. We were in Saidapet Hostel, in Gindi Hostel, and we used to come to AC College of Technology. All that is known, and later we shifted here. So that is one story. The next story is, considering our extracurricular activities, sports had just started, but not very much. There was some kind of a field for hockey, football. I think there was a tennis court too. But there was another interesting thing. There is on the Adyar River, there is an institution called the Madras Boat Club. Madras Boat Club is very famous. And so they were hosting that year, I think this must be in 62, the Regatta of the East.
Regatta.
Now the regatta was, this is a rowing thing. So it was a Regatta of the East. Not countries, but it was like the boat club here, the Karachi Boat Club, the Colombo Boat Club, the rowing club of Rangoon, Singapore, and so on. So here they found that they didn't have enough strong, muscular youngsters. So they came here and said, we want 4 people to row for us. We are hosting this event and we don't have any. So, they selected myself, Surjit Randhawa, Inder Bajaj, Tarosh Talukdar, Pritam Kapoor, and some of the others. So we used to go park our bicycles on this side of the Adyar River. They made us all remember, and then they take us across, and then we rode for them in the Regatta of the East. IIT Madras rode in the Regatta of the East, which is a very prestigious regatta. And you know something? We won. The fours we won, the skulls we won, which were 2. And we beat Karachi, we beat Colombo, we beat Rangoon and all these countries. So I thought I'd just tell these stories. Now over to you.
You have what story to tell?
No, I told both of them.
We lost for
I can have many, but I've got to tap this brain of mine now becoming small.
Sir, your whole story, it had so many small details that it's still as sharp as ever.
Anyway,
You finish?
yeah, I'm through.
You please see the camera up.
My name is Veeraraghavan, and
Louder.
I had the privilege of joining with this group and graduating with the next group. Okay, because I liked the campus so much, I spent an extra year, which means I failed one class.
No, it was very easy to fail. He failed purposely because he didn't want to go home.
We'll take the optimistic way.
He was not the only one. There were, I think we were 120 or 40 of them said we stay back, have another year of fun and games,
I also stayed.
We also stayed back. Anyway,
In those days, there was no IIT campus here. There was only classes in the AC College of Technology, and we had to cycle regularly from hostels via Gindi and Saidapet twice a day because you commit for morning class and then you have to go back for lunch once again, and those afternoon classes, especially the workshops, were terrible because it was so hot and stuffy, I remember, and especially the mechanical stuff. And
oh, may I just add, there were no fans in our rooms those days, huh? So many of us who didn't have a table fan, we had to manage without a fan. Can you imagine? We did.
There was a small regulation that we were not allowed to have table fans. So we kind of got the first batch experience. Now we have table fans again.
We had nothing. As I remember, we had nothing. How we survived, I don't know.
I had a table fan.
You had?
Yeah.
Well, you were a lucky man.
I'll go back and forth. Yeah. Right. I had table fans. We were allowed to have table.
Were you allowed?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were expensive. They cost 120 rupees for one fan. Bicycle also costed 120 rupees.
Yeah. Then I have some interesting recollection. I remember the first carpentry class we went to, and we had a teacher called Mr. Sharif. And I think Mr. Sharif was a very good carpenter, but teaching was kind of new to him. Okay, so we go into the class and because I have all these college students, I have to give them a lecture, He thought that was his responsibility. So he comes in, we gather all around him. He held this thing up in his one hand and he said, "This is a jack plate." And then the other hand, he holds up another instrument, chisel. This is a Stanley. Now, the difference between a jack plane and a Stanley plane is very different. I'll never forget that. The difference is very different. Now, since then, I have become a carpentry hobbyist.
Good handyman, huh?
And I do own a jack plane. I do own a Stanley plane. I have all by myself discovered the difference between. Another event I remember was in physics class. We had Dr. Ramasas. No, before that, let me give you another example. VJK Murthy is a very good lecturer and was. He used to teach us all the circuit theory and all. I remember he was trying to explain a theorem in circuit theory. I think it was called Thevenin's theorem or Norton's theorem. No, something like that.
We learned about it. Yes.
So he gave the proof of the theorem. He asked, "Did you all get it?" Most people got it. The still who didn't. So he said, "I'll do it again." So he did it again. And then he said, "Well, if you still don't get it, I'll give you something called proof by intimation." It's so because I'm telling you it's so. Now, I've forgotten all about Thevenin's theorem or Norton's theorem, but I always remember that magic bullet. And I've had occasion on several times in my career to use BGK's magic bullet on people who didn't understand what I was saying.
So if you don't understand after many explanations,
After two explanations,
this is what it
you
is.
don't get it. So, because I'm telling you, I remember that very well.
So that's it, huh? Thank you very much.
I have a few more questions to ask, actually. Daljit sir had begun your two stories, actually. One of the questions we wanted to ask you, you responded already, which is on how you got into IIT.
I told you how I got in by flu.
Sir, you bad? Oh, right. I mean, I was wondering, Radhakrishnan sir and Veeraraghavan sir, back then, it wasn't obvious that someone would want to join IIT Madras, which was a new institution that had just begun a few years ago. What was it like deciding how to go, which college to go to back then for you?
Well, in my case, it was quite. I'm not sure if I even want to be an engineer.
It'll be
To be honest, my father was an engineer, and he did well as an engineer. He decided his sons are going to study engineer.
Right.
And in fact, there are many families we pushed into engineering. We were asked, "Do you want or not?" If I had my brothers, I would have preferred to go into history or something of that sort. And anyhow, there was just a time. You see, I had already gotten admission into Delhi Polytechnic. And then there was this little advertisement came, saying IIT Madras is taking students. So, for Madras, my family lived in Madras. So, being in IIT would be easier. So, I set an application in, and I didn't know much. We didn't know much about IIT Madras at all. As a background, you should understand there was a very senior civil servant in Delhi. His name was Chandrakant. He should be given lot of credit because he came to Madras. So correct. So please go to Chandrakant came to Madras, I think in February, March of that year. He got an office in AC College. He put together the whole thing in 3 months. Okay, in February, by middle of July, we had started classes. And I probably didn't have very good marks. But I think I had the gift of the gap, which was enough.
Important. Very important.
So I was admitted. And I do remember my parents had gone out on a drive, and on the way back, they dropped into the AC College building, and they had put out the names of all the people who got admitted. My name was on it. Oh, so my mother said, "Okay, we're going to go and buy a basket of mangoes. That's mango season, remember it?" And she brought it home and she said, "You can eat all of it." But so that's how I ended up there. I have to say, like I said, I didn't really, and because since after doing a master's in engineering, I decided to go study economics.
Okay.
And went back to university, got a degree in economics, and my career has been as an economist. And I did, and I spent many years when in North America, the energy market opened up to privatization. I was on the ground floor over there, and I was able to combine my knowledge of economics and engineering. And there were very few people who had training in both fields. So I was able to do a lot of very good work in electrical engine, the whole, what you might call the the marketization
Right.
of the energy sector
And
in North America.
so we had a few more questions about your time in INSTI particularly. So you said that it used to happen in AC college
Psychology.
earlier, and then the whole campus was formed. So when exactly did you come to campus, and what was your first impression of campus?
It was in middle of 1960, I think.
Okay.
We came into the campus, and the first hostel was the Krishna hostel.
Okay.
Only the ground floor was there.
Okay.
And all of us were accommodated in the ground floor, and we didn't have single rooms. So every room, 2 people used to be there, and we used to sleep on steel cots and no fans and all that. And then after 1 year, the Kaveri hostel came up. So some of us who wanted to shift, they shifted to Kaveri hostel. So I also shifted to Kaveri hostel. And I would like also to add that I was the only son of my father who had 6 children, and 5 were daughters, and I was the only son. And in my family, my father was at that time a clerk in the railways. So he didn't want to send anybody for higher education because they could not pay the fees and make a living. So somehow he asked me to join IIT because of my good grade in pre-university, that is called after the +2. You go through 1 more year, which is called pre-university. There I got very excellent grade. So I was called for interview and I was selected. And initially they gave me mechanical engineering. I took it up, and after a few classes of drawing, I felt it is too much. Because that instructor, Professor Padmanabhan and Srinivasan, they were very strict. They gave very complicated sketches and asked us to give one in one plane and ask us to produce the other planes and all that. Yeah, and the section views and the descriptive geometry, it was all really mind-boggling. So I thought I cannot continue with this kind of thing any further. So I myself decided to change the branch. So I thought civil engineering is the one which doesn't require that much of skill in drawing. So I told the dean that time that I wish to change from mechanical to civil.
Right.
And after some time they said okay, and then I moved to civil engineering.
Right.
And luckily it was quite good, even though the exams there were all surprise periodical. Sometimes in the hostel, they will put just 1 day before. If tomorrow was the exam, today evening we will say, in this subject tomorrow you will have the quiz or something.
Okay.
And many of us were very jittery. So they will go room to room begging for notes of somebody who is very good. And one fellow's notes was very good. It used to be flying around all the night from room to room. 1 hour in this room, 1 hour in that room, 1 hour in that room. It was a surprise periodical, and mathematics and physics were there for all the 5 years.
Okay.
And it was a very rigorous course, and many of us did not get good grades in mathematics or physics, but still we continued on. And then I left civil engineering because I wanted structures in the M.Tech program. But the HOD said, no, you take only soil mechanics. I was not interested in soil mechanics. So I switched to applied mechanics department, where they wanted to recruit some faculty at the junior level. So somehow I got into that in the same year, 1966 October.
Okay.
I joined Department of Applied Mechanics as what is called a senior technical assistant.
Right.
We used to help the lecturers and professors with their tutorial classes, laboratory classes, and sometimes
Again, a TA himself.
and sometimes handle classes also. So I was teaching engineering mechanics right from 67, 68 to nearly about 20 years, I thought. And then I got fed up. I said, I want to teach something different.
Okay.
And that is how my life continued. And while being a faculty, I also did my master's, which was in solid mechanics or engineering mechanics. And then I switched on to biomedical engineering. My latest specialization is in biomedical engineering, where one professor from Stanford had come and started the program. It was going very well. And somehow he had a lot of students, about 10 PhD students. I was also one of them. One fine morning, for some reason, he suddenly disappeared from IIT. So some of us were really put to hardship.
Yes.
And we had to run around to several departments to find a suitable guide. And I found luckily one in the opposite campus, Anna University College of Engineering. And somehow we submitted the thesis after a few years. It was delayed by more than 5 years.
Okay.
And I continued my thing. And when I finally retired as a professor and head of the Department of Applied Mechanics, I'm still a specialist in biomedical engineering, more so in the area of biomechanics. So life in IIT was very good. I think the present day students are enjoying much more.
Absolutely.
They don't have the hard life that we faced in the first 2 batches, because most of the professors were German professors. What they used to talk, we never used to understand. And some of them will give the attendance and slip away from the class through the back door. After attendance, some students say slip away. So you'll start with 40 students, suddenly you'll find 10 students at the end of the class. So that was a practice those days, and they were all very tough. Anyway, it was.
People would do it now.
But life, I think, IIT has changed a lot now. It's only hard to get into IIT. Once you get into IIT, you'll automatically go out.
So,
And my honest feeling is BTech was the toughest in my career. MTech was much easier, and PhD is still easier. It is much easier to get a PhD than come up with a good grade in BTech in those days.
right.
Yeah.
So you said about how you moved into hostel and you have seen the whole IIT Madras campus like just grow with so many hostels now. Can you tell a bit about your experiences at that time? About Insti life, how Insti life started out?
Okay, actually, when we moved into Kaveri Hostel,
Right.
was really nice. It was a much better building,
Yes.
and the water was good. Because the previous place, the water was bad. The previous hostel, it was sort of, how should I say, it was very hard. The Kaveri hostel, the water was good. We had pretty nice food, and I disagree with them. We had an easy time. We had a good time. In fact, it was quite easy in the sense, back in the 1960s, if you came out with a degree in engineering from any respectable university, you had a choice of many jobs. There was no worry. There was really no competition as such, because there was enough room for everyone. I think the situation is more competitive now to get in, because you have to write an exam, you have to write maybe 2 exams, I don't know, what is it, and go through a very rigorous interview process. It was easier for us.
So I would disagree. The whole situation with the interviews with German people, that sounds very intimidating than any sort of exams that we have today.
No, actually those Germans, I remember the one who was on my interview panel was Wolfgang Scheer. He's
Joy, you were
the Scheer and 2-3 others.
Wolfgang Scheer.
Yeah, and I had no difficulty with any of them. I think when I walked out of that interview, I was pretty sure I was in. I had the feeling I was
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, because I could get the message back from those people. I think on the interview with Dr. Scheer, Dr. Ramasastri, and
Sengupta.
I don't know. Sengupta did it.
No.
Sengupta came later.
Okay.
And Natraj and the registrar, he did quite a lot of work. But I give a lot of credit to Chandrakant.
Yes.
He started the university, the IIT. So he did it in such a short time. It's quite amazing what he accomplished in 4 months.
Getting back to the college a bit, You said that Kaveri Hostel was very good. But weren't there monkeys back then?
There were no monkeys.
No monkeys.
No.
No, monkeys was there, not like what it is now. Monkeys were there, snakes were there, lizards were there, scorpions were there. Everything was there. And just behind the Krishna hostel, there was a cremation ground. And we were all in the ground floor. And sometimes they will blow horns and bring dead bodies. And late in the night, the whole fire will flare up. And we get some stenching smell and all that. One person got so much scared, he ran out of the room and started shouting. And he said, ghost, 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 and all that thing. And now, even today, that fellow is called a ghost. He is 81. Yeah, we named him Ghost. He is 81 years old. He is there. His name is actually Narayanan. He has good contact with all the people. So that was a life. And the food was very simple, vegetarian. We had initially, and some little non-vegetarian. So non-vegetarian was in one half of the mess and vegetarian other half. Most people were vegetarian. It used to be about 50-60 rupees per month or something like that only. So the whole life was really good. And Kaveri Hostel, we had a lot of North Indians were there. We used to enjoy all the festivals, especially the holy day. People will all gather, pull out people from the rooms even if they are not coming, push them. There used to be a pond just in front of the lawns in the hostel. We'll dump all the fellows into that pond and they will come out and then they will dance and sing. Then they will go to the faculty house and knock the door, they will open and the ladies will come and give some sweets, including the director and all that.
So there was one building for the faculty back then.
Many buildings, many faculties were there in houses, residential houses. So we used to go and knock them, they will come out, they will offer some sweets and all the things. We used to go from room to room or house to house. And finally they will go to Elliott's Beach.
Okay.
And they all have a dip there, you'll go by cycle and have a dip for about half an hour or 1 hour and come back and have the lunch around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. So it was really fun, the whole...
Very beautiful memory. Nothing used to happen in OIT. We have a open air theatre. Was that there back then? I don't know if
Yes, yeah, I think it was built. I think when I was in
Second year. Let's go. Third year.
fourth year. Oh, fourth year. Because first year there wasn't, and they built it, and in fact it started sinking right away.
that was how it was built.
It was built in such a hurry, the concrete slab started moving, and you have to maneuver carefully. It was done, and then fairly soon after we started the Saturday night movie.
Oh, is that?
That still continues. The whole tradition is still there.
We started the Saturday night movie program, and then they also did some theater.
Okay.
And then when we had the inter-IIT competition,
Okay.
then from each IIT, bands will come and play. I remember the Bombay IIT people, Kharagpur IIT people
Yes.
had very good bands,
Okay.
and they played quite entertaining music. And no, it was things happened very quickly. For instance, when we moved in, there was only 2 hostels, and they had to have 1 hostel every year because new students were coming in. Initially, there was only the civil engineering building, and then they built the electrical. Every year, 2 years, they were adding new buildings. And so by the time I got to 4th year, the chemical engineering building was already ready,
It was a 5-year program those days.
So I think the buildings' names might have changed a bit. Have you had the chance of visiting those buildings? You to have been here for a very long time, sir. Is the current mechanical science building, was it there back then also?
It was there. Even now, it is not belonging only to mechanical.
No.
There is applied mechanics is there, chemical engineering is there, and some more metallurgy is there, and all the things. So that building was there. That was after the civil engineering building. That was the main building which was there for a very long time. Then this MSB came, Mechanical Sciences Block, and then they branched off to different disciplines of mechanical engineering and built their own buildings and all that. So
Workshops might also have been the same from your time, right?
These young shops, yeah.
The outdoors long workshops.
the north light, sunlight roof structure.
Yes.
So a number of them are there. We are there for smithy, carpentry, welding, electrical shop, and metallurgy. Is that some
This thing, casting.
casting, cast.
Yeah, we did
It
that.
was really very, very
We also
tough.
had to work 1 week on a lathe. And because we didn't have the lathe thing when I was the first 2 years, they called us to school early
Okay.
for a week to do the work on the lathe. But one of the things I noticed is the landscape was very different. Okay, like now I see lots of banyan trees
Yes.
and lot of undergrowth. Yeah, undergrowth. In those days, I don't think there was any banyan trees. These are all planted. And there were a lot of acacia trees with thorns and things. And quite a few trees with wood apple.
Wood apple
Serious apples.
is it?
And the ground was more or less bare.
Okay.
Okay? You now I find the growth is very heavy. And that's why monkeys are coming to the hostel.
Feels like a forest now.
Yeah, full fest. It's also more humid now. Okay. Because of that. And because then you are at a breeze. Okay. Because yesterday evening, I walked over to where the stadium is.
Yes, that's all.
I could feel a nice cool breeze.
Yes.
So I was thinking maybe the vegetation needs to be thinned a little bit to allow some air to come in, you know.
That is actually the airiest part right now. Because of all the buildings we have, we don't have much wind now.
Yeah, that's right. But lots more buildings.
Yes.
And half the buildings are hidden behind these.
The trees.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's another aspect that we're curious about is, now that especially when there's a conversation between people with a large difference of generations, it's often easy to say, life was much easier back then, people now have it harder, or the opposite. Life was much harder back then, people have it easier now. I'm curious to hear from both of you. What is something that IIT students today can no longer experience that you all got to as a pioneer batch? What's something that IIT students today can no longer experience?
Something unique about, like something which you wish you could go back to now. Is there anything like that?
Well, I don't know what you are experiencing. I don't think anything that we will experience, you cannot experience. It's what we choose to experience. And because it was a very small campus, one of the things was you knew everybody. Okay. Now, chances are you don't know most of you.
So your batch size, I believe, was 120. Today there are 220 people in mechanical engineering.
Alone.
Yes. So it was smaller. So you knew everybody.
Right.
And so you could joke with everybody. You were free with them. You didn't have to worry that if you said something, they'll take offense. And I think those are things when you don't know people, you have to be a little bit careful about. I think some of our teachers were teaching for the first time. They were very nervous.
Very young people.
Dr. Velu Swami, he was so nervous when he came to lecture us on kinematics.
Mechanics, kinematics.
But over time they've
Okay, free with you all and you will get
get teachers and be more confident
Right.
and so on. And I think our laboratories were quite rudimentary. Okay, you have to remember, and in those days, there was not a single computer in IIT Madras. People in electrical engineering were learning about computers, but did not have a hands-on.
Okay.
So when I went from here to the University of Waterloo in Canada, that was a very computer-oriented university. They gave me complete access to one of the computers for 1 full hour every day. And I was able to hook my experiment. Instead of measuring the readings, I would send the data directly into a computer, simplify, and it will process and send me the result back right away. So those days, computers were not there. It wasn't that. They were quite prevalent in universities in USA and Canada.
Not in India.
Not in India at that time. But now, of course, it's very different.
It's everywhere now.
Other thing I found was the all our courses were completely structured. We had no electives at all. We had to take every subject.
Right.
So there was no electives. Now, Professor Kamal Koti was saying you have 40% of
50% electives are there, yeah.
electives. So you have choice of many more things you can do, which we didn't have. It was a very straightforward thing. So in a way, you have it better than we did.
Not exactly sure. Depends entirely on the person, right? If you really love your course, then you wouldn't think of an elective. You'll just do the main courses.
Like, I hated organic chemistry. Okay? I had to take it anyhow.
So I think we still have the first and second year courses. A lot of them are compulsory for everyone.
Okay.
From my year onwards, we have a bit of a choice.
Okay. In third year, I start having choice.
Yes.
But you still have a 5-year degree program.
No, 4 years.
4 years now.
It's 4 years. Isn't a 5-year degree?
5 years, just one path.
Yeah.
So for you all.
And the first 2 batches, the examination used to be tough. And even on the last day, the attendance was also very compulsory. If you are lacking below 75%, they used to stop you from writing the exam.
We have the same.
Like that, some people are detained, and the final exam also used to be tough. And somebody failed in one subject, he used to repeat the whole year, not just take that one subject again.
No retest.
So,
No retest.
no retest, nothing. They have to mostly repeat. So like that, even up to the final year, there were backlogs. People used to. Nowadays, I find almost zero backlog, and every student almost gets through and all that. And I don't know. Once I asked in the Senate, the director, whether I can go for one more PhD. I had done PhD in biomedical engineering. So he said our IIT statutes don't permit that. And maybe in other universities they may permit. We have to think about it and all that. So that was the inclination that I had even those days. Even now, I am interested more in learning about AI, the space research, what an engineer mechanics person can do in space research. IIT Madras is now collaborating with the Space Center and doing more thing on the planned missions, which is going to take place in the next 10 years or something, including the manned space flight and all that. I think in another 10 years, India may send even a man to the moon or something like that, another 10-15 years. But we are still far behind. But whatever we have achieved now is really great. That Chandrayaan mission that recently accomplished landing a rover in the moon, it is some great effort. Even after my MTech, I got an appointment in ISRO, Indian Space Research Center, Trivandrum, Tumba, as a scientist C. That time I was getting a salary which was slightly more than what they offered. So I bargained for some more increments and all that. They said they cannot meet all that what I got for. Anyway, I was destined to stay here and I am quite happy. No regrets at all.
Oh. The other difference is, I think now you can choose certain projects that you want to work and you have a hands-on, you can build your little models, all those things. We didn't have those things. We just followed a very, 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 very structured engineering program. I think the big difference was that the standard of some subjects was quite a bit higher than in many other engineering colleges. And let's be very honest, they were taking the brightest students coming out of schools. So, I mean,
All ranked students from school. So, from different regions, all state number one, school number one, they used to be there. There used to be competition between those people. And somebody who was first in the school or anywhere, he used to find himself nowhere in the ranking here. So, there used to be some depression problems and all that.
Tough pill to swallow.
yeah, there were a lot of very bright kids in the class. And we had it was all male students. There was no female students at all.
I think the first 2 women came in 66 batch. Like the batch which came in 66.
Correct.
There were 2 women who joined there. And I think they didn't have a hostel also back then.
I see. Okay.
They used to stay in the staff quarters.
Okay.
It was very interesting.
Because I remember the Guindy Engineering College across the road,
Right.
they had female students. But IIT was late. You get it. And I think partly because they didn't have the
Access to education.
accommodation.
Many things.
No, the admission was tough. After only the first 2 batches came in without entrance exam. All the other batches had an entrance exam which was very tough. The pass percentage used to be only 2% or 3% maximum.
Another thing is this. Now you have special business centers specialize in tutoring people to write
Yes, the coaching institutes.
or
That
the
was,
various other exams.
yes.
We didn't have that.
I believe it was a far more organic thing. And I think the Indian government has stopped coachings from taking kids who are under 16.
I say.
Yeah, they have stopped it now. For I think last year.
Because it was on the coaching thing, I'm aware because in the sense, people who had money could pay for the coaching. People who couldn't pay the money lost out. Yeah.
But all the things that you said, how was, what did you all talk about? How was the student culture back then different? Were you all interested in sports? Were you interested in extracurriculars? Did someone want to join the army? Like what did students think about back then most? You thought if you think about engineer,
Girls. What else?
the one from Guindy College.
No, there are good students who are very good in debates and they participated in national debate and all that. There was very good quiz competitions was there. Extracurricular activities, so IIT came second or third in the first inter-IIT meet.
Oh.
And later on it came number 1 for a few years and now it's like it dropped to 3 or something. Anyway, all kinds of activity was there, especially the OIT theatre movie, whether it rains or shines, people will come with umbrella and sit there. It used to disappear, people used to go back only around 11:30. Back home, it used to start at 8 o'clock sharp. We never missed a movie. Mostly it was English at those times.
Okay.
Sometimes followed by some regional movies like Tamil, Hindi, Malayalam, Kannada, something like that.
But
Anyway, it was great fun.
Experience, right? You're getting to watch very prestigious English movies for free inside your college.
There were old movies, old English movies, mostly Hollywood movie, Hollywood. But one of the group of us used to do was we would go to Eliot's Beach quite often, Sunday mornings to swear. Then we found out the fishermen had these little boats. So we rented the boats from them for 5 rupees, and we used to take tourists out into the open sea, charge them 1 rupee each.
You used to do that.
Yeah, we paid money. Taking tourists right into the castaways into the open sea that they can dive off the boat and this and that. And then we bring them right and back. And every time we do 2 or 3 trips, we come home with 10 or 15 rupees pocket money in pockets.
Amazing. We'll wrap up soon.
Yes. A wrap-up question for both of you now. So, if you had to join IIT again, if you imagine you were to go back in time again and join IIT again, what if you could choose to study a different major? What degree would you have pursued in IIT? You can answer either with the wide range of options there are now, or what you had back then.
I would choose space research.
Space research.
I would have stayed in chemical engineering.
But you hated organic chemistry. You hated organic chemistry.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, chemical engineering
Is of course quite
not
different.
much chemistry.
Yes.
It's more to do. In fact, you did more to do with designing reactors, feedback control systems, that kind of thing.
You're gone for that.
You can depend on your trusted chemist to tell you the formula. Because we did get a round thing in, I would say the main difference in studying here and when I compare with people who went to study the engineering, say chemical engineering, in Canada or the United States, we got more mathematics. We also got, as a chemical engineer, I would say we also got studied fair amount about electricity, about structures, mechanical things. All that is not taught to chemical engineers in the USA or Canada. So we had a more complete education. In the sense, I did not only chemical engineer, I can also design a beam, a cantilever, any of those things.
Great.
Brilliant response. We like it very much.
So it's very nice talking to both of you.
And
I don't know, only 2 of us were there. Some more people could have joined. But tomorrow, whole day, I think there is a lot of programs coming up. I think you'll be able to interview people with diverse views and all that. And very happy that we are back in IIT. I enjoy coming to IIT very often. I am in Chennai. Whenever there is a very good seminar by somebody from outside or inside, or there is a PhD dissertation, or some student wants some small help, I always drop in. And so to say it is more like another home to me. So I wish all of you very good future, come up very good in your career. I think India has got immense potential. It is for all of you to build our nation to grow higher and higher.
Any parting words for the Canada?
Sir has given little all of you the best. We have had the best ourselves. So you deserve the best too.
very wise word.
God bless you.